Jennifer Hudson's story is not one of instant success or fairy tale glamour. From the outside, it might seem as though fame came easily to her, that the world simply opened its arms to her immense talent. But the reality of her journey is far more profound, woven through with unimaginable loss, enduring grief, and a resilience few could ever comprehend. Every triumph, every award, every performance that brings tears to audiences worldwide has been carved from years of struggle, heartbreak, and relentless perseverance. Born in Chicago, Jennifer grew up surrounded by the vibrant energy and challenges of the city's South Side. From a young age, her voice was her sanctuary, a source of comfort not just for herself but for everyone who heard it. Music was never just a hobby, it was a lifeline, a thread connecting her to the world in ways words alone could never capture. She poured herself into singing, performing whenever she could, and honing a talent that would eventually make her a household name. But even at the peak of her abilities, life had lessons to teach her, lessons that would leave scars deeper than any stage lights could illuminate. In October of 2008, Jennifer's life took a turn so devastating that it's almost impossible to put into words. On a single day, she lost 3 of her closest family members: her mother, Darnell Dunnerson, her brother, Jason Hudson, and her 7-year-old nephew, Julian King. The violence of their deaths shattered her world entirely. It was the kind of grief that doesn't just hurt, it embeds itself into every fiber of your being, settling in your bones and refusing to leave. For Jennifer, the pain was private, unperformable. It wasn't something she could explain to the cameras or in interviews. There were no silver linings, no lessons to publicly offer. There was only an unbearable silence that demanded she disappear from the world she had known. In the months that followed, Jennifer withdrew completely from public view. There were no television appearances, no press statements, no social media posts to manage perception. She understood something many people never do. Grief cannot be performed. It doesn't fit into photo ops or scripted responses. To survive, she had to step away, to allow herself the space to feel, to mourn, and to simply exist without the expectation of a world that demanded her to smile. Yet even in withdrawal, Jennifer's inner strength began to surface, not as a flashy display but as a quiet, enduring fortitude. Pain did not diminish her, it refined her. She returned to the public eye not because the heartbreak had faded, but because she had come to a crucial understanding. Life does not pause for grief. The world moves on whether you are ready or not. And if she was to continue to honor her talent and her voice, she would have to rise again on her own terms. Her return was marked by grace and dignity, a testament to her resilience. She continued to perform, to act, to give of herself in a way that reminded the world and herself that survival was not passive. Singing, acting, appearing on stage and screen, she rebuilt her career step by step, never rushing, never pretending. The pain was gone. Each performance was an act of courage, a reminder that strength is not absence of suffering, but persistence in spite of it. In parallel with rebuilding her career, Jennifer also faced the complex journey of reconstructing her personal life. She sought stability, love, and connection after a period of unimaginable loss. That quest led her to David Otunga. For a time, their relationship seemed to offer a sense of normalcy, a glimmer of peace after years of chaos. There was a romantic engagement, the birth of a child, and appearances of happiness that, from the outside, suggested that Jennifer had finally found a gentle chapter in her life. But appearances can be deceiving. Beneath the surface, the relationship carried tension, emotional strain, and the subtle but crushing weight of control. It was a reminder that surviving tragedy did not automatically equip anyone to navigate the complexities of love. Jennifer faced a difficult choice: prioritize appearances and endure a relationship that compromised her peace. or reclaim her safety and well-being, even if it meant walking away. She chose the latter, filing for protection and leaving the relationship behind. Painful, yet necessary act of self-preservation. This chapter of Jennifer's life illustrates an essential truth that would define her journey. Strength often manifests not in persistence for the sake of others, but in the courage to prioritize oneself. For a woman who had already endured profound loss, making this choice was both a declaration and a survival tactic. Love, she had learned, was not always a sanctuary, could also be another test of endurance as she stepped into the next chapter of her life. Jennifer did so with newfound caution and awareness. She was no longer naive about love. She approached relationships with careful deliberation, protecting her emotional space and seeking not grand gestures or public validation, but genuine peace and mutual respect. This wisdom became a compass that guided her through the inevitable complexities of the public eye and personal life, preparing her for a love that was authentic, calm, and steady. Love that, for the first time, might match her resilience. After months of quiet mourning, Jennifer Hudson slowly began to re-emerge into the world she had once dominated with her voice. Her absence had been felt not just by fans, but by the industry itself. Jennifer was not just a performer. She was a presence, a force, a woman whose talent commanded attention and whose story inspired resilience. But returning to the spotlight was not merely about reclaiming fame, was about reclaiming life itself. The stage, which had always been her refuge, now became a space of healing. Singing was no longer just a demonstration of talent. It was an act of survival. Every note carried her grief, her strength, and her determination to move forward. Acting, too, became a channel through which she could process emotion, embody resilience, and tell stories that resonated deeply with her own experiences. For Jennifer, work was therapy, and therapy was her craft. Her return was gradual and intentional. She avoided the spectacle, the overexposure, the intrusive media cycles that could easily exploit vulnerability. Instead, she chose projects that allowed her to exercise control, to shine on her terms. Award shows, talk show appearances, and carefully curated performances became stages not for performance of persona, but for the quiet proclamation that she was alive, present, and unbroken. Amid rebuilding her career, Jennifer began to navigate the complexities of her personal life. After tragedy, intimacy is never simple. Trust must be rebuilt, boundaries redefined, and self-worth reassessed. Enter David Otunga, man who, at the time, seemed to offer stability and the promise of Tave, and the promise of a love. Their relationship blossomed slowly with moments of tenderness and mutual support. For Jennifer, this was uncharted territory, a chance to open her heart again, to experience love without losing herself in it. The relationship progressed naturally, resulting in an engagement and the birth of a child. For a moment, it seemed as if Jennifer's life had shifted from a narrative of loss to one of gentleness and fulfillment. On the surface, it looked like she had finally found the love that could match her resilience, a partner who would complement her strength rather than challenge it. But the reality of relationships, even those built with the best intentions, is rarely as simple as appearances suggest. Beneath the photos and social media posts, Jennifer faced challenges that tested her emotional fortitude. Control and emotional pressure, often disguised as care or love, crept quietly into her life. Subtle manipulations and tensions emerge, small, almost invisible cracks that, if ignored, could grow into deep fissures. Jennifer's response was not impulsive. She had already endured the unimaginable. She knew the stakes. Instead of suppressing her instincts or prioritizing appearances, she acted decisively. She chose safety over societal expectation, well-being over conformity. Filing for protection and stepping away from a relationship that no longer honored her boundaries was not a sign of defeat, was an act of courage, of survival, of self-respect. This experience reinforced a vital lesson for Jennifer. Love, when unhealthy, is another arena of endurance. She had survived personal tragedy, professional scrutiny, and public pressure. But love required a different kind of vigilance. She learned that true strength often lies in walking away before the damage deepens, in protecting one's emotional and physical space rather than risking further harm. Her personal growth during this period was inseparable from her professional ascent. Jennifer's career continued to flourish. She embraced opportunities in film, music, and television, expanding her repertoire and asserting her voice in ways that felt authentic. Her achievements were not just accolades, they were statements of survival and mastery over adversity. Every award, every standing ovation, every critical recognition was a reminder that she had returned not merely to participate, but to excel. By the time she reached this stage of her life, Jennifer had cultivated a profound awareness of herself. She understood her worth, recognized the warning signs of toxic patterns, and prioritized her mental and emotional health above all else. This was the Jennifer Hudson who would eventually become a woman shaped by grief, tempered by experience, and guided by a steadfast commitment to her own peace. Her story during these years serves as a testament to the human capacity for resilience. Loss and heartbreak do not define the entirety of a life. They inform it, refine it, and, when approached with courage, empower it. Jennifer's journey through this chapter was one of careful rebuilding, of laying foundations stronger than those that existed before, of learning that survival is not passive but active, a series of deliberate, courageous choices that honor both the self and the life one wishes to lead. And as she rebuilt, Jennifer began to recognize a new desire, not for excitement, not for public validation, but for peaceful companionship, a love that complemented her growth rather than challenged it. She was ready to approach love with clarity, armed with lessons from her past and an unyielding commitment to protect herself. Even after rebuilding her career and returning to the public eye, Jennifer Hudson knew that life's most profound lessons often came not from the applause of audiences, but from the quieter, more personal arenas of love and relationships. By the time she entered her relationship with David Otunga, she carried with her both hope and caution. Hope for connection, and caution born from experience. At first there was promise. David offered a sense of stability, a partner to share her life with, and together they welcomed a child, a new chapter that seemed, on the surface, filled with possibility and tenderness. But beneath that outward calm, subtle complexities began to surface. Jennifer, who had already survived unthinkable tragedy, now faced a new kind of challenge, navigating love that demanded not just patience, but vigilance. Love, she quickly learned, is not always what it appears to be. The excitement and intimacy that initially drew her to David began to reveal deeper tensions. Emotional pressure, control disguised as concern, and the unspoken expectation to conform to someone else's vision of partnership began to weigh heavily. These were not dramatic confrontations, but quiet, persistent patterns that slowly eroded trust and safety. Jennifer's response was informed by her past. She had endured sudden, overwhelming loss, and she knew instinctively that ignoring warning signs could lead to long-term emotional damage. She did not panic. She did not lash out. Instead, she observed, reflected, and acted with intention. Choosing safety over appearance became her guiding principle. Filing for protection and stepping away from the relationship was not an act of weakness, it was an act of courage and clarity. In these moments, Jennifer demonstrated a truth few fully understand. Survival in love sometimes requires detachment and self-preservation. She realized that love is not merely about presence during moments of excitement and joy. which is about consistency, accountability, and respect in both the extraordinary and the mundane. When those essential elements are absent, staying does not. Signify loyalty at risks further harm to the self. Jennifer's experience in this chapter underscored another vital lesson. Strength is measured not by how much one endures, but by how wisely one chooses to protect oneself. Walking away, especially after investing deeply, is not failure, is mastery. She had learned to differentiate between love that nourished her and love that drained her, between gestures that were performative and care that was genuine. This chapter also marked a turning point in her understanding of emotional intelligence and boundaries. Jennifer realized that being a strong woman in love requires clarity and discernment. One must recognize patterns, trust instincts, and refuse to compromise personal well-being for the sake of appearances. Her decision to leave was not a rejection of love itself, but a reaffirmation of self-respect, a recognition that the highest form of love is the one that honors both hearts involved. While her departure from this relationship was undoubtedly painful, it was also transformative. Jennifer emerged from it, not diminished, but fortified. She learned to navigate the intricate dance of vulnerability and caution, to balance openness with self-protection. The experience gave her the tools to approach future relationships with awareness, to seek partnerships that were not only loving, but sustainable and respectful. It was during this period of reflection and rebuilding that Jennifer became increasingly conscious of her own needs and desires. She understood that she no longer needed grand gestures, public declarations, or social validation to measure the value of a connection. Peace, stability, and genuine respect had become her guiding principles. This chapter of her life laid the groundwork for the next, a love that promised growth, balance, and mutual understanding. Jennifer was no longer searching blindly for affection. She was seeking harmony, a partnership that would match her resilience and respect her emotional space. Her journey through control, emotional challenges, and survival had shaped her into a woman ready to recognize and embrace love in its healthiest, most authentic form. By the time she encountered Common, Jennifer was not the same woman who had walked tentatively into her first high-profile relationships. She was informed, cautious, wise, and deeply attuned to the nuances of emotional health. She carried with her the lessons of survival, the scars of loss, and the clarity of self-worth. And this clarity would define not only her next relationship, but also the way the public would come to understand her choices and her power. After years of navigating grief, loss, and complicated relationships, Jennifer Hudson approached life with a renewed sense of clarity. She had rebuilt herself not just professionally, but personally, and understood that her heart and emotional space were precious. She was no longer willing to settle for anything that compromised her peace. Love, if it were to enter her life again, needed to align with her resilience, her values, and the quiet strength she had cultivated over the years. It was during this period that she crossed paths with Common, the acclaimed rapper, poet, and actor known for his thoughtful approach to life and relationships. Unlike many in the public, Common carried a reputation for emotional intelligence and conscious living. He spoke openly about therapy, self-awareness, respect, and the importance of meaningful connection. In an industry often dominated by performative displays of affection, he was thoughtful, deliberate, and grounded. Jennifer and Common's connection was not instantaneous in the dramatic tabloid sense. It was subtle, organic, and quietly powerful. Their interactions were marked by laughter, genuine conversation, and shared understanding. Unlike her previous relationships, there were no desperate attempts to perform love for the public, no flashy declarations meant to convince anyone of their bond. Instead, their affection grew in private moments through small gestures that carried profound significance. For Jennifer, this was a new experience. After the trauma of her past and the intensity of prior relationships, she had learned to recognize the difference between excitement and stability, between charm and compatibility. With Common, She found both comfort and challenge in equal measure of relationship. That encouraged growth without demanding compromise. Their public appearances reflected this authenticity. On red carpets, they walked side by side with ease, neither clinging to attention nor performing for the cameras. Their connection felt real, grounded, and unforced. To those who watched from afar, there was a calm elegance in the way they moved together, a subtle assurance that their partnership was rooted in mutual respect rather than spectacle. Common himself spoke openly about Jennifer, expressing admiration and gratitude for her presence in his life. He described their relationship as a blessing, something that enriched him rather than defined him. In return, Jennifer allowed herself a lightness she had not felt in years, a sense that she could finally breathe, finally relax, finally be present in a love that did not demand performance. She was no longer performing happiness for others. Squits, 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 squits. Yet, even in the calm of this new connection, Jennifer remained vigilant. Her experiences had taught her that true love requires consistency, respect, and presence, not just charm or eloquence. She approached the relationship with awareness, observing the balance between excitement and stability, passion and trust. For the first time, she could engage in a partnership where emotional maturity and genuine care were central, rather than incidental. The early stages of their relationship were defined by shared moments of simplicity, quiet dinners, heartfelt conversations, laughter that was unprompted and free, and a mutual understanding of each other's boundaries. There were no grand performances, no calculated displays for media attentions, just two individuals discovering connection in its most sincere form. Jennifer's hope for this relationship was grounded not in fantasy, but in lived experience. She had learned the importance of self-preservation, the power of boundaries, and the necessity of trusting her instincts. With Common, she felt seen, respected, and emotionally safe. The partnership did not erase her past pain, but it offered a space where healing could continue, where love could coexist with independence and self-respect. For the public, their relationship was a narrative of possibility. It was not gossip or sensationalism that defined it, it was hope. Hope that someone who had endured unimaginable hardship could find calm, steady love. Hope that emotional maturity, mutual respect, and thoughtful care could create a connection capable of surviving both the pressures of life and the scrutiny of fame. In these early months, Jennifer Hudson experienced a rare and precious thing: the alignment of heart, mind, and circumstance. She no longer approached love with naivety. She approached it with wisdom, readiness, and the quiet expectation that her boundaries would be honored. Common, in turn, offered the kind of consistency and presence that Jennifer had long sought but rarely encountered. This period of their lives was not defined by drama, media speculation, or extravagant gestures. It was defined by authenticity. And a shared understanding of what it meant to nurture and respect one another. In a world that often rewards spectacle over substance, their love quietly defied expectations, proving that the most meaningful connections often grow in silence, away from the spotlight. Yet, as with any relationship, even the most promising beginnings carry challenges. Jennifer and Common were entering uncharted territory together, two strong, successful individuals with their own histories, perspectives, and experiences. The next chapter would test their alignment, patience, and understanding. As the real work of sustaining love began beyond the initial promise of connection,